inhabitant of these instruments or vessels which have been fashioned for his need. That this was purposed, that the gods of the Olympian heights decreed it to be this way, that life is a constant ascending of forms, being met by the descending of life, and wherever these two meet, there is a living soul. That this living soul is not generated simply from the experience of contact in nature, but is the result of the union of two elements or two principles to form a compound. This again is consistent with the Pythagorean and Gnostic philosophies, for we are informed by these systems that there are three states in nature: spirit, matter, and form. Form is a compound. Form is a body which must be composed of material elements and archetypal energies. The reason why matter becomes formal is because it comes under the laws and rules of a pattern or archetype, and that this archetype bestows mathematical or geometrical harmony upon matter, raising matter into organization, and that such organization as is resulting from these two factors may be regarded as the proper definition of the ensouled man. Now we may say, what have we actually done on the level of our anthropological researches? We have not changed the fact that out of the amoeba, out of the clod, out of the marsh and the mire, there crawls something forth upon the earth. But we may question whether that thing which crawled forth upon the earth was actually the beginning of the total man. We may question whether this being, left entirely to its own devices, could ever have been anything than a super animal. That it rose with others of its kind, that it developed with others of its kind, and as in the case of the embryo before birth, up to a certain point the human embryo cannot be differentiated from the embryo of a chicken or a horse. But as a certain point is reached, then the one indicates gradually and inevitably that it is going to be a chicken. The other remains, continues to unfold, and finally becomes a human being. But at a certain state, they're indistinguishable. There is no way of telling one from the other, except that one grows more before it is born, and the one that grows more is man. Thus, in the face of nature, there is no way in which we could distinguish, or no certain method by which we could indicate a point in the remoteness of things where man and the animal could be clearly differentiated. This would follow again the most ancient thinking we have, namely that in that time there was no obvious difference, but that this difference appeared in due time, appeared when life reached the point of sustaining this difference, and that at that time this difference became manifested, and man suddenly became a creature with a purpose, a creature with a reason for existence other than biological, and that biology did not cease because the continuance of forms for embodiment continued to be necessary, that the search for food did not cease because this body, which was to be the house of a soul, had to be maintained and sustained, or the soul was homeless. However, life divided now into two purposes: one to be regarded as the maintenance of the house, and the other the increasing freedom of the householder, the being that lived in the house. This immediately divided the life of man into two purposes. Psychologically, these purposes are everywhere obvious. Man is not a united creature in his purposes. He is purposed by two contrary forces. And the conflict between these contrary forces is one of the principal reasons for nearly all the problems that arise in human life. The survival from a bodily standpoint is also sustained by something that we call instinct. Now, instinct is something we do not know too much about. It's one of those delightful things that we should know a lot about, and because we need to know, we cannot find out. But instinct seems to tell us, or our own study of instinct, that in this part of our nature we have the survival of what has been called the pre-Adamite man. That is, the pre-ensouled man. That instinct was the power that governed before the quickening. That instinct, therefore, was a life out of nature, a kind of nature spirit that rose out of the earth and was that part of man's structure that did respond unhesitatingly and continuously to the demands of survival. That what we commonly believe to be instinct today is therefore the survival of a primordial pressure. And that instinct, after it has gone to school and gotten a diploma, instinct becomes sophisticated or cultivated to the degree that it may seem to be a legitimate force that has inherited the real right of ruling the body. Instinct, now not fully recognized in itself, can therefore be the cause of the most excessive positive and negative reactions of our emotional life, our vital life, and certain rudimentary elements of our mental lives. Thus, body left to itself follows instinct. Body and soul follows the soul. The instinct nature of man has slowly become considered under a broad general title, the lower man. Now, the lower man is a most agreeable fellow. The lower man is constantly impressing upon us the sovereign importance of doing what we please. The divine man is constantly impressing upon us the sovereign importance of doing that which is right, or that which is necessary, or that which is next. Each of these forces is seeking the gratification of itself, seeking also the fulfillment of its own purposes. Instinct has no over-purpose, because the primary creature seeking to eat ate and was hungry again, because it ate only the food of nature. But the soul man sought another food, that those who ate thereof should not again hunger. And this difference has carried on. It almost would seem, although this may be an exaggeration, and I wouldn't want to be quoted for this, but to the press at least, it would almost seem that what we term materialism is instinct with a college education. That materialism is essentially the aggrandizement of the man of instinct.
Most of them were never going to be
on the assumption that this man...
See, Jake? Here's someone who might actually be worth my time. Unlike you.
They're gonna kill me. But I brought everything you asked for.
Stealing things from your family farm doesn't prove your strength, boy. Though this wonder, kill that prisoner and prove that you aren't completely useless.
You said we'd be raiding outside the Commonwealth. These people aren't even a threat to us.
Prove to me that you can kill. It's him or you.
Oh God, what do I do? What do I do?
Walk away, Jake. You don't have to do this.
Please, let me go.
What if I don't?
Gonna be, Jake?
They'll kill me. Don't do it, Jake. This is
Prove
murder.
to me
They'll come
that you're
after my
worth
family if I
forging.
I'm sorry, but I've got no choice.
There, I did what you asked. God, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Good. Now, kill the stranger.